Hi everyone and welcome to this video from Board Game Aids. Today we are celebrating the wonders of the Italian Renaissance in the excellent game Princes of Florence, in which players compete to complete impressive works and attract professionals to their principalities. It would be a shame to let the glories of the Renaissance be spoiled with misplayed rules, so here are the top 10 rules you might have missed for Princes of Florence. Each turn a player gets 2 actions to spend. However, be careful here and remember that only certain actions can be taken more than once per player turn. If we look at the right hand side of the board here where the actions are listed, we can see the actions of taking a freedom and a profession card can only be completed once per player turn, whereas the actions of taking a bonus card, building a building or completing a work can all be taken either once or twice per player turn. Prestige points are important in Princes of Florence, so make sure that you're not missing out. Remember that any extra builders past the first get you 3 prestige points per builder. In this example, the second builder will be worth 3 prestige points, and likewise the third builder. Also, don't forget that the second type of a landscape you built also gets you 3 prestige points. So in this example, if the player is to build a second lake, they will receive 3 prestige points, and similarly if they build another park, they would also receive an additional well-earned 3 prestige points. Remember, while it's possible to construct more than one of each landscape type, for example 2 lakes, a player can only construct one of each building type. So for example in this board, the player wouldn't be able to construct a second library. Also remember, until you have a second builder, your buildings can't touch. However, the placement here in this example would be possible, as touching at the corners is permitted. Money can be very tight in Princes of Florence, but there is an extra way for a player to make some additional money. Don't forget that a player can move backwards at any time on the prestige track to raise some extra florins. The exchange rate is 100 florins for every space moved backwards. This can also be done during the auction phase, which will help to raise some extra cash for your purchases and bidding. Time to get sneaky. After looking at the top 5 cards of the Prestige, Bonus and Profession decks, and then keeping 1 card to keep, don't forget that you get to choose the order in which the remaining 4 cards are placed on the bottom of each deck. If there's a card you know your opponent would benefit from or want, then make sure to position that somewhere near the bottom so they have to wait that little bit longer before they'll draw that particular card. Building is an expensive and serious business in Renaissance Italy. Remember that once you've placed a landscape or building tile, you're not then able to later move that tile. This means you really need to think carefully about where you place each feature and plan well ahead for later turns to get maximum efficiency out of the space available. Time for a quick question. Is the palazzo a building? Well, yes and no. When placing other buildings in your principality, the palazzo does count as a building, and the usual placement rule for buildings apply. However, when calculating the values for prestige and bonus cards, the palazzo doesn't count as a building and can't be used to calculate the values for these particular cards. Often overlooked in the rules, make sure that during setup you're placing out the correct number of freedom tiles. The correct number of each type is the number of players minus 1. So in a 4-player game, you'll have 3 religion, 3 travel, and 3 opinion tiles. Be careful how you are splitting ties. When 2 or more players are tied for the highest work value in a round, both players will score a full 3 prestige points. For example, here both the red and blue players would score a full 3 prestige points, both sharing the number 10 space. Note, however, that prestige card ties are resolved slightly differently. For example, here, the player who has the most lakes would earn 6 prestige points. However, if you look closely underneath, there's a small number 3 in brackets. This means if a player is tied for the most number of lakes with another player, they would only score 3 points instead of the full 6. Note that some cards, however, don't have a smaller value in brackets, and this means that the player gets a full 8 prestige points, or whatever the value of the card happens to be, regardless of how many other players happen to fulfill that particular card's criteria. Bonus cards are a great way of increasing your work value and for helping you to reach the minimum work value required for each round. Don't forget, however, that you can play more than one bonus card on a particular work, which is a great way of dramatically increasing your work value, helping to make sure you've got the highest work value for that particular round. Also remember, you can take a bonus card and then keep it in your hand to use at a later stage in a separate round. That concludes our video of 10 rules you might have missed from the Princes of Florence. I hope you enjoyed this video and find it useful, and if you did, click the like button and subscribe for future upcoming videos from the Board Game Aims channel. Until next time, play carefully.